Welcome time travelers and welcome new time travelers. As always, if you're new to this channel and enjoy learning about history, one event at a time, then don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today we're going to start out in 1784 when the Netherlands yielded to Great Britain some of its holdings in India and Indonesia, and a treaty signed as a part of the Peace of Paris, a collection of treaties that concluded the American Revolution. 1799 is when French author André de Balzac, considered one of the greatest fiction writers and best known for the collections of novels and short stories collectively called La Chambre Hamandi, or the Human Comedy, was born. 1806 is when economist and philosopher John Stuart Mill was born in London. On this day in 1862, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Homestead Act, which provided 160 acres of public land virtually free of charge to those who had lived on and cultivated the land for at least 5 years. Now, if you were wondering how the little rivets came about on your pants pockets, those little rivets by the pocket, then look no further back than 1873 when Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis were granted a patent for using copper rivets to strengthen certain areas of trousers, notably pocket corners. The patent was credited with giving rise to blue jeans. 1882 is when Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy secretly formed the Triple Alliance, a treaty organization that provided for mutual protection against attacks by other European powers until Italy entered World War I. 1902 is when Cuba gained its independence from the United States, which had taken control of the island in 1899 after defeating Spain in the Spanish-American War. 1846 is when American singer and actress Cher, who was known for her flamboyant style, was born. Moving on to 1880, when voters in Quebec rejected the referendum that would have allowed the Quebec government the opportunity to negotiate the national government for sovereignty association status. 1996 is when, after repeatedly refusing to allow the UN to dictate the terms under which Iraq could export oil to finance the purchase of urgently needed food and medicine, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein endorsed UN Secretary Council Resolution 986. It permitted Iraq to sell $2 billion worth of oil during the initial 6-month period. During that time, UN officials would carefully monitor the oil flow and verify that the food and medicine that had been purchased were reaching those who most in need. 1/3 of the oil revenues would be deposited in an account to reimburse those who had been victimized during Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. In 1990, at least $130 million worth of supply would be earmarked for Kurds living in the northern part of the country. If the UN was satisfied the way things were proceeding, Iraq would be allowed to sell $1 billion worth of oil during successive 3-month period. 2 years after the turn of the century, in 2002, East Timor officially became independent. 2 years later, in 2004, in presidential elections in Malawi, Bingu wa Mutharika wins with some 36% of the vote, though his 4 opponents say the election was unfair. Mutharika is sworn in on May 24th. Moving on to 2010, when stocks in the US and Europe dropped in value, with Dow Jones Industrial Average losing 376.36 points, or 3.6% of its value. The price of a barrel of sweet crude oil falls to $68.01. And finally, 9 years ago in 2015, David Letterman, who redefined American talk show with his unconventional humor and innovative segments, stepped down as host of The Late Show with David Letterman. And with that, we return to 2024 and our current history. Until next time.